Love doesn't hurt us. People pleasing hurts us. Abandoning ourselves hurts us. Silencing ourselves hurts us. Not having our own back hurts us. Pretending everything is okay hurts us. Hello everyone, I'm Amia from Resonance Astrology, and today we're going to talk about the full moon in the sign of Libra, the sign of the scales. I have my own little scales with me here. They might come in handy with everything we're going to talk about today. Because I think one of the great misconceptions Libra carries as a sign is that people associate it stereotypically with a lot of surface level stuff. And let's not forget that Libra is cardinal air. That is very potent, heavy air, and there is a reason why the planet Saturn also exalts in the sign of Libra. And as a matter of fact, we also have this full moon is happening at 12 degrees of Libra. This is, if you know the decans, these are the interceptions, like the 10 degrees increments of a sign. We have this full moon happening in the second decan of Libra. This is the Saturn ruled decan in both Ptolemean and Chaldean order. So this is actually a quite Saturn heavy full moon that we're getting. The weight is quite literally upon us. And it's hitting me hard as well. And I'm just coming off from an astrosomatics class. Otherwise, I would not be able to sit here and talk to you the way that I'm talking to you right now. But it really helped me to, bring myself back into the moment. And while I was there, I was really trying to feel into this energy of Libra. And I realized I really had this urge to whip back and forth. Like the scales, I was whipping back and forth. And aren't the scales kind of just like a body, if you think about it? You know, this is the head, these are the arms, this is the body. Well, you know, there aren't really any legs, but you get the point. It's definitely like an upper body. And this is what Libra is trying to do constantly. And what we're trying to do. Right? We're constantly trying to get to this equilibrium, but we cannot fall into the false sense of the illusion that once we reach that balance, that this is where we are staying, because life happens, things happen, people happen, relationships happen. This is the reason why the sun is exalted in the sign of Aries, but not in the sign of Libra. And I also want to read something to you guys that I have written about Libra 2 years ago when we were still in the eclipses, in the North Node, South Node, Libra, Aries axis, when the eclipses were happening there, because that was quite poignant and very powerful. I'm sure sometimes these themes are brought back up again, especially right now with so much Aries activation. I mean, really, these eclipses that we were having in the sign of Aries and Libra, which happened around 2023, 2024, these were like the predecessor of everything that is happening now. Like on a smaller scale, these were the predecessor of what is happening right now. And they are kind of a bit of an echo to what is being brought even more to the surface. So if you want to look back, I don't have the dates right now completely. I don't know them right now by my heart, but if you want to go and check out the exact dates from the eclipses that were happening in Aries and Libra, because they might be very important right now for you. These might be dates where you look back and you're like, oh, like this is what was coming up in my life. And now, mind you, at that time, the South Node was in the sign of Libra, the North Node was in the sign of Aries. So we were kind of really moving towards that Aries energy, which I do think is also very prevalent right now. There's obviously so much more planets in the sign of Aries during this lunation. So yeah, and the sun is obviously also going to be very important every time we have a new or a full moon, because if we have a new moon, it means the moon is conjunct the sun. If we have a full moon, it means the moon is opposite the sun. And now let me read something again. This is from eclipse season, but we're gonna understand Libra on a much deeper level here. Okay. Once again, just sit back and relax. This is a very head-heavy energy. Again, Libra is a cardinal air sign. If you have been overthinking everything, this is, well, I want to say completely normal. At the same time, I also don't want to, by that, I don't mean that it's easy. It's not. And again, I think people often have this image of Libra as this, like, oh, it's a Venus sign and it's funny and flirty. And I'm not opposed to that side of Libra. I think it's very real and I think it's there. But at the same time, Libra is what we would call in astrology like a yang or a masculine sign. and it's cardinal air. It's like, bam, it's that if I think of cardinal air, I'm thinking of like these heavy winds that are blowing, and it can be quite overwhelming. Libra energy can be quite overwhelming. Like the constant weighing. Anyway, we're going to get there. I'm going to read this and this is going to make more sense. So, Libra is the only sign that is ruled by an object, the scales, as we have it here. This is why Libra literally is so objective. But sometimes objectiveness can detach us from our real emotions. This is something all air signs struggle with, okay? It's not just Libra, all air signs struggle with this in their own sort of ways. Because air is in itself so detached. It's something that is there, but out of all the elements, it's the element that we can see the least. We can feel it when we go out and there's a breeze of wind coming, but we can't really touch air. We can't even really fully see air. It's not like water or fire or earth. So in this way, all the air signs have this quality of kind of being detached. Libra might hide the real self or its true emotions behind a facade of what is deemed as correct. This can be societally imposed, but also self-imposed, and so often it is a mix of both, and we don't even really know where the inner voices come from, right? Because it's generational. What is seen as correct and true is so often a self-perceived and projected reality. An objective construct we created based on everything we have ever experienced. Libra can be so afraid to express true human emotions and vulnerability because being human means being messy and emotions are often so intense and irrational. But I want to offer you the perspective that your experience is valid. How often could you feel any other way about stuff based on what you have been through? Did I say that correctly? But basically what I mean by that is what helped me sometimes in this moment when I feel like I'm going insane or like some traumatic pattern gets retriggered in my life. And I want to remind myself and you during this lunation that it's like based on everything you have been through, how could you react differently? Like your experience based on everything you've been through is actually the most normal thing. Like, of course you're having the reaction that you're having. Okay, it's actually quite logical. It's not as irrational as you think it is. We just need to be gentle with ourselves, okay? Experience is valid. My experience is valid. Your experience is valid. Our experience is valid. And we need to start there by accepting that fact. And then we can go further. And this is where Aries, the opposing sign of Libra, which is building up to a solar eclipse, comes into play. And again, this is from 2024, but generally we can also just shorten the sentence and say, and this is where Aries, the opposing sign of Libra, comes into play. Oh, that the solar eclipse. Because this is also going to be relevant when we have that new moon in the sign of Aries 2 weeks after this. Aries acknowledges the primal human desires, which are often hard for Libra to do. Aries puts itself and its urges and emotions in the moment above societal contracts. It lives the momentary impulse. Let's not forget that the sun is exalted in Aries while it is in its fall in the sign of Libra. The sun is the archetypal complex of the conscious ego that informs our sense of individual autonomy and selfhood, our impulse to shine, to fully become and express ourselves. Aries wants us to reclaim our purpose, our right to self-express, our desire to be seen. Aries says, I don't give a bleep about being perceived as a perfect human. I want to be seen fully as me, and because I exist as a human. I have an inherent right to have desires and get my needs met. I'm not above my human condition. Aries says I'm not claiming to be perfect. That's an impossible thing. I'm just saying that I'm worth it. That's the responsible thing. By the way, lyrics taken from a song, this part, which is by Sa Rock Forever. Love that lyrics. Let me repeat it again, actually. I'm not claiming to be perfect. That's an impossible thing. I'm just saying that I'm worth it. That's the responsible thing. Sometimes the hardest thing is to admit that we are human with basic human needs, and that these needs involve having desires and being seen and witnessed and held. Libra often feels, who am I to deserve all this? So often Libra can feel like an object that just wants to be useful and is afraid at its core that if it's not useful anymore, it's not valuable anymore. That if it's not objectively perfect, it will be rejected. But Aries says, no, 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 stop right there. I will hold you in all your human messiness. I have the capacity for intensity, and I can hold all of you. All of you is welcome here. Even if being in your emotions in the present moment feels scary, I will give you the courage and trust it takes to build the capacity of experiencing an intense life. Because an intense life is a human life. True vulnerability is our greatest measure of courage and ability to build deeper and more intimate relationships in our lives, with others and with ourselves, which is really what this whole Libra-Aries axis is about. Aries wants us to stop hiding behind our fake goody two-shoes proper persona that falls into people-pleasing behaviors. It wants us to go from how will they like me to how will I be perceived? How am I making them feel? How am I not being disruptive? To do I like them? How does this make me feel? How do I perceive myself in this whole situation? Being vulnerable is the only way to allow our hearts to feel pleasure. Yeah, and this is kind of actually it ends here. I thought there was more, but it ends here. Maybe there was something more, but anyhow. But I do think that there is, sometimes, especially if you have like a weak Venus in your chart, or like a Venus that is in fall or detriment, or just not resourced the best. I see this with a lot of people, and right now we have the gift of Venus being in domicile, but this is actually really important for this lunation, because Venus being in Taurus in domicile reminds us all, regardless of where you have your Venus, but it just comes sometimes more easily to people that have a well-resourced Venus in their chart, that denying yourself the pleasure of vulnerability actually hinders you to have deep connections. Which is what I would say most of us are craving, right? But sometimes it's so hard to admit, right? Because again, Libra is the scales, and Libra is just constantly weighing. Like Libra is extremely, extremely socially smart. You wouldn't know the weight that Libra bears by thinking so much about, how do I set this up so it pleases this and this person? Like, if I think of Libra as organizing a party, I'm like, yeah, Libra is going to be great at this, because you know what? Libra as an archetype, okay? But you might relate to this if you have strong Libra placements in your chart. Like, Libra at a party is going to be like, oh, we're going to think of the person that can't eat gluten. We're going to think of that person. Like, if I put these people together in this table, okay, like how would they vibe? Libra is just constantly thinking about relationships and how it will bring people together. That's a lot of weight. And I think that is something we need. Like, it's, it's like, where are we doing this in our lives? Because some of us are doing this to some extent, more or less. And this will obviously be most prominent wherever Libra is active in your chart. So look at which house Libra is activating, and look at the opposite house as well, because it's going to activate that, 12th 6th house axis or 10th 4th house axis, because it's Aries and Libra. So it's going to activate these two parts, and I can guarantee you these are going to be the topics where you're being asked right now, where am I people pleasing? Where am I abandoning myself to fit a societal construct? When everything I want to do right now is just go home and take a breather, because that's where I can be where I fully am. And I'm not saying that, societal constructs are unreal. There is etiquette. There is so many things where Libra just excels, because it really knows how like this human mind works psychologically in situations where people are relating. Like, this is really where Libra can excel. And this is also one of the reasons why a lot of politicians have Libra placements, because there's a lot of thinking going on. Well, we can argue about how much thinking is going on there, but I guess you know the point that I'm making. All the air signs are about relationships and the way we are relating to other people. And therefore, sometimes air signs can be so overly focused on other people and relationships that they forget themselves. And especially in the sign of Libra that is opposite of Aries, then Aries comes in with this energy, like this potent sun in Aries that is also just coming off from Saturn. And it's like, where are you playing way too freaking small? Where can you take up your space? Where does it not have to be at the cost of you, right? Because Aries is much more in tune, as I said here, right, with this instinctual side of just like, I want to be real. I want to be authentic. I want to be raw. And obviously there's, I'm not trying to say that Aries is the solution right now here or anything, but this is, because it is an opposition, this is the directions we are being pulled right now. These are the directions we are being pulled right now. And what I do love about this axis and this, when we have that full moon in the sign of Libra and we, paired with it with a strong sun in Aries, is that there seems to be courage. Is that this Aries energy is really encouraging the Libra energy to be like, hey, I know it's probably gonna suck to realize that you're just human and that you have human desires and that you want deep connections, and that for basically having that, it's probably gonna require you to be vulnerable, and like it's gonna be pretty uncomfortable to be vulnerable and talk to people and tell them what you actually want, but you're going to know afterwards. You're going to know afterwards. Everything that falls apart for you being real was never actually real to begin with. Like, if people fall out of your life because you're being real, because you're asking things and they're like, you're so crazy all of a sudden, like, wasn't real to begin with. These people could have never met you at the depth you needed. But you need to go through this uncomfortable motion of asking full well with the acceptance of, yes, maybe my needs aren't going to get met. Maybe I'm going to get laughed at. Maybe I'm going to get mocked at. Like, that is, like, I don't want to sit here and sugarcoat this process, because this is a heavy process. But at the same time, it's going to bring you so much closer to the essence. Like, it's gonna sting and it's gonna hurt. But guys, right now we have so much Aries energy in the air. And once Mars moves into Aries next week, even if this hurts and you feel devastated, Mars in Aries is gonna stand, like, it's gonna pull you up back from the dead. Because what the heck? You're gonna stand up, you're gonna try again. You're gonna stand up, you're gonna try again. Aries energy is like, I don't care how many times I've been rejected. That's also Saturn in Aries. Like, I don't care how many times I've been rejected. I'm just gonna go try again. Because I believe that my needs are important. They're gonna get met somewhere. Even if it's not with this person, even if it's not with this relationship or how I imagine things to be. This is actually just giving me information and clues because it's not going to be these people. And how lucky I am that now I know, not 30 years down the line, but now I know I'm actually saving time because I'm realizing this now. Now I'm set free. Now I can begin again in this new era that we're entering right now. You know, and these scales, they're never still. It's an illusion. You know, we get to this point of equilibrium and we're set and we make a decision and it feels like, yes, the scales are set. But inevitably something comes in and tips the scales again, and life is a constant balancing act. Life is a constant balancing act. That is literally why the sun is in fall in the sign of Libra, because perfection in our human form can maybe be achieved for a minute, but then things change again. Perfection is not a static thing. It's something we can constantly try to chase, but we're going to get sick and tired of that chase very soon. Right? As I said, an intense life is a human life. And this is what Aries season, this is what April is here to remind us of. If you want to live a human life, you need to be able to accept that you're going to live an intense life. And this is what I'm going to leave you with, guys, for this Libra lunation. That is definitely no joke. I mean, not that any of the other lunations really are, but it is heavy, okay? Libra is heavy. Cardinal air is heavy. It's heavy on the mind. It's heavy on weighing things, and it's heavy on all of that. You know, one of the reasons why Libra has such a hard time with making decisions is because it's constantly weighing, and it can get stuck in that mode of trying to perfect, you know, where it's like, no, I'm not going to have the conversation right now because this person right now is angry and pissed off, and we're going to have it tomorrow. Like, everything needs to be perfect for us to have this conversation, and then it just, you know, it never happens because the perfect moment never arrives. We make the moments perfect. We take the power back to ourselves. This is what I'm going to leave you with. I wish you a beautiful, hopefully empowering Libra moon. It is scary, but Aries tells us to be courageous and, you know, go wherever the heart goes, which is easier said than done. But yes, we got to be brave and courageous. You know, if you are courageous enough, the universe rewards the people that are courageous. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Last year, I was like, every week, I'm going to do something courageous. I'm going to do something that like puts me out of my comfort zone. Because I have this quote here of Anna Isin, which is like, life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. Heck yeah. This is my wisdom for April in general for y'all. And it can be small things. It doesn't have to be the huge thing. It can just be writing an email you have been putting off for a long time. Signing up for a gym, which you've been putting up for a long time. These are small acts of courageousness. Your life is going to be completely different. Okay, this is for real what I'm going to leave you with now, because otherwise I'm just going to keep on yapping. I wish you a wonderful time. We're going to talk to each other soon. Much love. Bye.